Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
All right, welcome in. This is Andrew Barber here in Hawk's Eye View with Drew Shipley. Drew Shipley, you are back, fresh off of your bachelor party. How was it?
I mean, it was fantastic, Andrew. And, you know, I watched your episode with Ben Applegate. Thanks for Ben for filling in. I mean, solid predictions of Hawkeye wins. 13-0 halftime lead. And after that, I just blacked out. So I assume like Hawkeyes won 27-3, right? Like we're moving on to Troy 2-0.
Yeah, I'm actually just going to say that that's exactly what happened. And then we're just going to move on.
No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened.
Okay.
That's not what happened. I do want to spend like maybe 1.5, 2 minutes just quickly get some vibes out.
Go ahead.
Not necessarily about the game itself. The first question I have for you, Andrew, is
do
you personally feel that you underrated Iowa State?
No.
After seeing what you saw?
No.
You don't think so?
Nope.
So you're fully in the camp that Iowa beat themselves?
Oh, 100%. And if we played again in November, we would win. Am I doing this right? I'm kidding.
No. I think Iowa State. The narrative has been like Matt Campbell is going to out Iowa. Like that's their game plan. Except they actually finally fucking did it. Like a 54-yard field goal from a true freshman kicker.
Yeah.
That's something we do. Coming back from a double-digit deficit and just stymieing the offense for 3/4 of the game. That's what Iowa does.
Yeah.
I can't say stymie because, I mean, Jesus Christ, Caleb Johnson. Like, what can you say about Caleb Johnson that he didn't do?
Right.
Score in the red zone because he scored from further away.
Yeah, he didn't score in the red zone because we didn't give him the ball in the red zone.
Also about this, let's talk about these tight ends, right? Like Addison Ostrenga and Luke Lachey. Are we not targeting them in the red zone either? Like we're not doing the 2-target set anymore? Or like...
Yeah, I don't know.
Just went away from everything that is Iowa football in the red zone. And went for 2 when we didn't have to go for 2. It was a 1-point loss.
Yeah, I get people want to pan that decision, but in this scenario, the analytics actually do say go for it in analytics rule.
I don't give a shit what the analytics say, Andrew.
So I'm just saying the analytics say go for it.
So you were okay with it? Piss poor play call?
It wasn't a piss poor play call. The analytics say go for it in that scenario.
I meant the play call itself. I didn't mean the go for it or kick.
Oh, the play call. Yeah, the play call itself may not be good, but yeah, the decision to go for it isn't what should be panned here. And also the decision to not run the ball in goal-to-go situations is essentially what doomed Iowa. Because 21-0 at halftime is really, truly, if they had dedicated to the run in those goal-to-go situations, it's probably a 21-0 type thing, or at least a 17-0 type thing, and they're not coming back from that.
Xavier Wampa.
Yeah, that was uncharacteristic too. I
haven't been sold on this guy like you have. I even said this in the preseason, Andrew. Like that everybody was predicting this big jump to his junior year, and I was just like, kind of like, he's athletic enough, yeah, but have we seen it on tape? And I think that's the narrative that we did the preseason show on. Is like, I want to see it. That was a Power 4 in-state rival game where when it counted the most, I mean, just not in position,
Yeah. Well, Chad Lysico.
And it wasn't just him. It wasn't just him.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, true. Well, Chad Lysico put out a big article about the resemblances of 2002 and this one, and I think there's a lot more of that with this than there is any other kind of year.
Well,
so
did we play Ohio State and lose to them in 2002 as well?
No, we actually didn't play Ohio State that year.
There's the lack of resemblance right there.
Well, that's the only lack of resemblance right there, right? But I think people that are acting like it's a big deal or the season is lost, I mean, it's just kind of was a strange week, I think. Just a strange game overall. I mean, Iowa just doing weird non-Iowa things. I don't really get it. I don't know. I don't think it's anything to be too concerned about or too worked up about or anything like that. So
I think it is simply because it was a winnable game, right? Because we know what we saw. We saw a 13-0 halftime lead.
Yeah.
Where the defense was just shredding Rocco Becht. Like they had no semblance of a running game. I mean, I literally thought Iowa was going to shut him at halftime, and they missed the field goal. I literally thought Iowa was going to shut him out the whole game. They were not. Iowa State was not going to score.
Mm-hmm.
I believed it in my loins.
Yeah,
watching that game. And then just
me too.
Mid completion to mid completion later, just shredding zone defenses, not making adjustments. Like Rocco Becht found every freaking seam, every hole, every nook and cranny. Like shredded the Iowa defensive backs, just shredded them.
Yeah, well, he got like the luckiest of lucky breaks on the first touchdown too to Higgins. Like TJ Hall, like 99.9% of the time, either bats it down or comes up with an interception in that scenario. Like it, yeah. So again, a lot of crazy things had to happen for Iowa State to make this comeback. And like you said, Phil Parker defense allowing a 75-yard touchdown for the first time in 2 years, maybe?
Was that the first play of that series too?
Yeah, because they got the ball at 25. It was right away.
Yeah,
so
wide open, blown coverage.
Yeah, again, a lot of crazy things a lot of crazy non-Iowa things had to happen for them to get it done.
I'll drink to that, Andrew. I'll drink to that.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just who Iowa is this year. We'll see. We don't really know through 2 games if that's just who Iowa is. A team that just makes more mistakes than what we're used to.
I hope it's more your scenario where we're just overreacting. We lost the game that we should have won. Clearly should have won. Iowa State fans can admit that too. A 13-0 lead that had no momentum whatsoever. Like everybody can admit that Iowa outcome of winning the game should have been it. Tale of 2 halves. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Iowa did run it well when they ran the ball, Dave. Ran the ball.
But then at a certain point, it kind of became
predictable.
Predictable.
Inside the tackles when Caleb Johnson was breaking every off tackle for 20 yards plus.
Yeah, but some of that is the Iowa State defense playing a little bit of contain with the run there. They did figure a little bit out with how to make those outside runs go inside, make them have to cut back inside for minimal gains.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily going to blame the run game because the run game looked good. And it's kind of like what we saw on Kids Day, where what we've heard all offseason is that we think the run game can be good, and it has been through 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They're doing really well in the run game. Iowa is. It's just that the pass game is, some people have said the term work in progress. I would say it's worse than that, but yeah, that's the term that some within the program have used is work in progress. I would say that at best. And then now you've got a real question on your hands, I think, at the quarterback spot. I know that Kirk has stood by Cade hard, so I don't expect anything to change this week, but after the Minnesota game, we have a bye week.
Thank God.
We have a bye week, and okay, we can talk about Troy, but I don't think Troy is going to present a huge challenge to Iowa.
No, and they shouldn't.
And they shouldn't.
They're an 11-win team from last year.
Yeah, but they're an 11-win team that turned over their entire roster.
Oh, I know.
And lost and their entire coaching staff, just like we talked about with Washington, except they're not on the Washington level where they have the resources to bring a lot of transfers in to kind of offset that.
To put the icing on the cake, I just want to say, I think Iowa State is closer to the team that I predicted that they would be. I think they would be a competitive team in the Big 12 for a Big 12 championship. You thought we'd walk all over them, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think that wide receiver core for Iowa State might be the best in the Big 12, especially through 2 games. The defense did what they had to do to win in Kinnick. Rocco Becht figured it out in the second half. Like Dave said, it was a tale of 2 halves. They did it on the road in Kinnick with, who else are they going to play that's going to present that kind of a challenge defensively in the Big 12? I don't think anybody.
Utah.
And Utah has looked not great through 2 weeks.
Well, Cam Rising got hurt, so we'll see with Utah.
Oh, shocker. He's going to get a 9th year of eligibility in his 28-year-old year. Perfect.
But healthy Cam Rising in Utah is kind of a juggernaut.
He hasn't been healthy since like 2018. Let's move on.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We can move on. I guess I was just saying maybe if you are going to make a change at the quarterback spot, if you're Iowa, the bye week right there after the Minnesota game is the time. And it really depends on how things look during that Minnesota game to me. If it's very, very similar to what we saw from Cade in that Iowa State game, 2 interceptions, bad interceptions at that, man. Like that one to Lachey, like he just threw it. He threw that on that throwback to Lachey. There were 3 dudes there. Like that's
not what he does either. Like I said this in the preseason outlook, that Cade McNamara doesn't turn the ball over. He's doing stupid shit. Just absolutely stupid shit. And, with his declining athletic ability with all these injuries, the memory of the 2014.
Dude, we're not talking about 2014 timeouts here, Dave. I'm sorry. We got to move on. But yeah, like you said, that's not characteristic, but I don't know.
Hindsight's 2020, Dave.
Yeah.
I'll leave that at that. You know.
I mean, the guy had missed a what? He missed a 41-yarder right before halftime.
Yeah.
So I guess Kirk probably didn't really think that icing him was really necessary since he had already seen him miss a 41-yarder earlier in the game. I don't know. I mean, I guess you do usually ice a kicker in college, but I don't know. I've heard that icing works, icing doesn't work. Icing sometimes helps the other team's kicker. I don't know. I think you
Listen,
saw
two possessions before that actually happened, I called a 2019 Iowa State win. Just because we'd squander it away on piss poor offensive play calls, 3-and-outs, timeouts, this, that, the other. They make a play or two to get a first down and get in field goal range. But did I think a true freshman kicker at Iowa State University was going to go into Kinnick Stadium and make a 54-yarder, which would have been good from 64? Absolutely just drilled that son of a bitch.
no.
Did I think that was going to happen? No, I did not.
No.
Not that way. Was somebody bitching about the Big 12 officials cooking some clock somewhere in there? Did I read that somewhere? Because I didn't see that in real time happen, but social media kind of exploded about 15 seconds being ran off somewhere in those last couple of possessions. I don't know. I don't remember. But
I don't know.
If you didn't remember it, then it probably didn't happen. But I know I had been talking on social media yesterday.
Yeah.
That Chad. Actually, I think Chad Leistico wrote to the Big 12 officials or whatever, the Big 12 office, asking for a explanation on that. So I think there's actually some steam on that, or some validity, I guess.
My what I was paying attention to more so with the clock was us snapping the ball too early on that last drive.
Yeah.
With too much time left on the play clock. And then taking the delay of game penalty instead of calling the timeout on the 4th down. And then our freshman punter punts a 37-yarder.
We're notorious for taking delay of games on punt scenarios, and we're also famous for taking timeouts in punt scenarios when we need them. When we actually fucking need the timeouts.
Yeah, but we needed to take a timeout there to save the 5 yards, because if you think about it,
again, hindsight's 2020 there.
Yeah, but it's those little things where games are won and lost when you play like Iowa does.
They played not to lose. They didn't play to win.
Well, yeah, but that's fine.
No, it was not fine. It was not fine. I am not fine.
If you're gonna play that way, that's how you
win 10 games. I don't know if you know this, Andrew, but that's how he won 10 games last year.
I know.
Fuck. Tired of that shit. Tired of losing to Minnesota and Nebraska and Iowa State. I'm going to have a rant here. This is bullshit. Losing to Ohio State by 40 or losing to Michigan by 40, fucking fine. Losing to Iowa State up fucking 13-0 at half, that way, I'm not okay with. Sorry.
I'm not really okay with it either. I'm just talking about a couple of things that definitely would have changed the outcome because Iowa State didn't have timeouts. Okay. Also, Phil Parker playing press man coverage when he didn't need to with young corners.
You calling out Phil?
I'm not calling out Phil. I'm just saying we're playing press man in a scenario where backing off and playing a zone coverage and keeping everything in front of you is fine. Because they got that 25-yard pass on the second play, and that puts them in business and gets them into range. You make that a 15-yard pass, you give up the first 10 yards, and then you come up and tackle 5 yards later.
I guess we can nickel and dime this play by play, right? And be like,
yeah,
well, fuck, Iowa should have won 31-19 anyway, you know?
Yep, and I agree with Dave here. I think Iowa will be fine outside of Ohio State come to Jesus game. I think Yeah, that's what this better be.
I've dropped so many F-bombs in the last 90 seconds, Dave. I need to find Jesus myself, my friend. I understand.
Oh, man. Well, Drew, I think this is a good time to maybe just take a break, come back and reset, and talk about this upcoming week against Troy.
Okay.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman, Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
All right, we're back. Looking ahead to Troy, here's what I know about them. They're 0-2. They just lost to Memphis 38-17. Albeit Memphis is a good team, but they struggle a little bit on defense. Troy only putting up 17 points there. They are scoring 21.5 points per game through 2 games. They're giving up 33 points per game through 2 games. So 102nd offense, 116th defense in terms of points per game for Troy. And I think in week 1, they played Nevada, who is projected to be somewhere around the bottom of the Mountain West. So Troy is a team that's probably going to be around the bottom of the Sun Belt, I would imagine. Maybe even middle of the pack if they overachieve in their conference play. They've thrown 1 touchdown through 2 games.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Well, we threw for 3 touchdowns in week 1, so we're
I was
3.
just talking about previous seasons, not necessarily.
Yeah. I'm with you. And they've used 2 different quarterbacks in their first 2 games as well. So I'm not sure if that's a result of injuries or just switching quarterbacks out, or it's kind of even between the 2 quarterbacks as far as like the passing attempts. So we might see Troy roll 2 quarterbacks at us on Saturday. We might not. I'm not sure.
I think the question is, are we going to roll out 2 quarterbacks against Troy on Saturday?
That's what I wanted to get to. It's like, are we going to roll out 2 quarterbacks against Troy? Based off Kirk's comments, I don't really think we will for any reason other than we're ahead big. I don't like it because I would rather get Brendan Sullivan game experience in a game like this. And that's what I was maybe calling for in week 1 too, was get Brendan Sullivan some game experience against Illinois State. And then, probably roll with Cade for the CyHawk game like they did. I understand that. But then this would be another experience to maybe get another look at Sullivan in a game like this. So I think, that Illinois State game and this game needed to be a game where we saw a little bit of Sullivan in some scenarios where the game pressure is still on.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily prepare you for the Big Ten. We know that Sullivan can play in the Big Ten because he did it last year. Albeit at, maybe not the highest level, but we know that he can start a Big Ten game and you can win with him as your starter. But I wanted to see it at Iowa too.
So I guess my next question would be how much do you think NIL is a pressure factor in continuing to start Cade McNamara? Or is it just because it's Kirk's nature over 20 plus years to stick to his guns of his first selection?
Yeah, I think it's more that second thing that you said. I don't think the NIL pressure, I'm sure there's some, but I don't think that's really impacting Kirk's decision here. I think it's exactly what you said. It's the stubbornness. It's the unwillingness to change the quarterback. He has partway through the year before. You think of 2008, the Christensen early, and then Stanzi by, what was it, game 4?
I think so, yeah.
Didn't Stanzi take over around game 4? After we lost to Pittsburgh, a winnable game at Pittsburgh, then I think Stanzi took over.
Yeah.
That next week. And we ended up going 8-4, but we had to suffer some losses because we wouldn't change.
Yep.
Hopefully Kirk has learned from that. I just don't know if he has. The other reason why I just want to see it is because, like we talked about it before the season, Lester actually recruited Sullivan when he was back in high school.
Right.
Before he ended up going to Northwestern. And that to me signals Sullivan fits what Lester wants to run on offense.
Sure.
Better than what Cade does, in my mind, but just simply because of the mobility factor, I think. Like we've talked about the injuries with Cade. And I don't want to pile on because of the injuries, but I think the legs that Sullivan has could be a nice factor. Because Cade didn't look to run at all. He did against Illinois State, but he didn't look to run at all in the CyHawk game. He just stood in the pocket and threw off of his back foot too much. And there were times where, like, one of those goal line plays where he threw it into traffic, where I was screaming at him to just run and dive for the end zone because he probably would have made it in the first half. I don't want to rehash, but again, he didn't use his feet against.
So this back leg problem, right? Am I assuming then his bad leg is his front leg?
That is the one that he injured last year.
It still exists.
It exists in his mental
brain.
Yeah,
It's in between the ears.
It's in between the ears because he didn't do that in the second half against Illinois State, and he didn't do that early in the game against Iowa State.
He's gun shy.
He gets gun shy a little bit. So I don't know. I want a quarterback that's more mobile, that has a healthy pair of legs, that wants to run every once in a while, because it's just a different element that a defense has to defend against.
100%.
And it's not like it's going to make the Iowa offense some explosive juggernaut. That's not what I'm saying. it just makes them tougher to defend, which is what they need.
It's going to convert a random 3rd and 7 when they're all expecting your ass to pass.
Yeah, exactly. Sullivan would drop back to pass and then see nothing's there, run, first down. Okay. Yeah. So what do you think? Would you prefer to see 2 quarterbacks this Saturday like I do?
Yeah, because I do want to get more. I want end game situations for Sullivan before the bye week, before inserting him into Ohio State like we had to. What was that? Was that the game against Northwestern where Stanzi went down in the end zone?
Vandenberg. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Vandenberg had a heroic effort at Ohio State where that was a winnable game at one point.
Yeah, it was.
Like I don't see like reincarnating that scenario.
No.
So like that's not throwing Sullivan to the wolves at Ohio State after a bye week. I don't think is necessarily setting him up for success there. He needs more gameplay before that, right? So I think you have an open QB competition versus Troy this week. Let's see what happens. Like I don't care what they're doing in practice. I'm sure K McNamara is not throwing off his back foot in practice because he knows he's not getting hit. Of course he looks good in practice. He has all the confidence in the world because he's not going to get that front leg hit, you know?
Yeah. Everything I know is that Cade's been running exclusively with the 1s this week. Sullivan's been exclusively with the 2s. So again, that's really what's informing my thoughts of we'll get Sullivan if it's a blowout.
I just don't know why everything's got to be exclusive. Why everything's got to be black and white with this guy at the quarterback position. I don't understand this. It's the most frustrating part.
Yeah.
Is he that much worse?
I don't think so.
But how do we know?
I think I'm pretty confident Brendan Sullivan could have thrown for at least 20 yards in the last 3 quarters of the CyHawk game.
I'm pretty sure he could have got it to the fucking end zone too.
Yeah. He probably would have got us to the end zone in the second half twice, at least.
I'm just saying the long ball at the end, but
yeah,
where Cade can't throw the ball 40 yards.
Yeah, that was awful. I almost wanted them to roll Drew Stevens out there and just say, fuck it.
I remember they were saying that would have been 67 yards, I think.
Fuck it, Drew Stevens, 67-yarder for the win.
I would go down on that over a fucking pass that didn't get to the goal line.
Yes, me too.
100%. I'd go down in flames and be like, well.
I mean, we do know that Drew Stevens does have a strong leg.
He has a boomer. He has a boomer.
I think another thing that we'll see from Iowa is a strong running game. I think they're going to stay committed to that, and they should because it's the strongest point of the offense through 2 weeks.
I'm glad that that's returned, though. Honestly.
Yeah, me too.
We saw it against a Power 4 team that has a pretty decent defense by Big 12 standards and NCAA standards.
Yeah.
Middle of the pack in both. It was great to see him run the ball like that. 100%. Yeah. That was awesome. They just went away from it when it mattered most. And I mean, we're not going to be pulling hair after this game against Troy. I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to learn anything new, unfortunately.
No.
Because I do want to see both quarterbacks play, like when the game matters, instead of in like, garbage time, quote unquote, however you want to word that. I don't know. I guess I'm looking more forward to Minnesota. I'm looking forward ahead, and I'm probably making a mistake in doing so. Hopefully the team's not after taking that one on the chin, but.
No, Kirk Ferentz teams usually respond after a loss like that. They usually, go out and pound a poor.
Hopefully Kirk Ferentz is showing that footage from Memorial Stadium of the Nebraska fans cheering that fucking Iowa State beat us. Did you see that? Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean,
The bug eaters.
To be fair, from the other side, we would have done the same thing. Like people had been saying too. Like we see Nebraska lose to like Northern Illinois, like that, like Notre Dame did or some shit. You know,
Yeah.
we would have done the same thing.
Oh yeah, and we absolutely have. I mean, during the Scott Frost era, we got to do it quite a bit.
And to be fair, let's not compare Northern Illinois to Iowa State. I'm not trying to downplay Iowa State's ability or the fact that they kicked our ass, because they did, and they earned it. And Kinnick, and good luck to them the rest of the season, man. Because I think they do play for a Big 12 championship now. After all this is said and done, I think their schedule's winnable. I think they can be the top two for sure.
We'll see. Yeah, I agree. We're probably not going to learn a lot about Iowa this week. I just don't see that. Hopefully we don't have to have nerves like we have a major letdown spot or anything. Hopefully we don't have to be nervous or anything about the outcome.
I don't think so.
That would really say something.
I don't think
but
so.
I just don't see it.
No.
So,
we want to hit prediction time because I don't know if we can beat Troy down with a dead horse or what, but
a Trojan horse maybe. Let's go.
Thanks for walking right through that door.
I had to.
Prediction time. Let's hit it.
Yeah, prediction time. I say Iowa wins. I'm going to go with 40 points again. I think the run game is going to be strong enough. And I'm just going to say something like 41-3.
Okay. I'm pretty close to that. I'm going 34 Goose.
Okay.
Shut out.
Sweet. I love it. Yeah, that'll do it. Not sure if you want to come back and do a post-game reaction. I am going to kind of be out of town on Saturday.
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be necessary.
Hopefully it's not necessary.
I like doing them, but moving forward, like in the Big Ten games, obviously we will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see this one as a necessity by any means.
Well, if there's something dramatic that happens, keep it.
Well, I'll come on solo. I don't give a shit.
Okay, great.
I'll have a meltdown. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I will too. Except mine will be while I'm driving back.
Oh no.
From out of town. So yeah. Anyways, I think that'll do it for this week. Unless you got any final thoughts.
No, man. Like the episode's called On to Troy. Looking forward to getting back on the field and seeing something different. Maybe not. I don't know. But moving on and getting a dub is the best prescription for something like this. So, you know, when you see the 2-1 record, moving on to Minnesota will feel slightly better.
Yeah,
and then play for Floyd of Rosedale next Saturday.
Get some revenge.
Get some momentum going into Ohio State. So
yeah, I do have one last quick thing. It's Three Beards related. Three Beards is sponsoring a wrestling event here in West Des Moines at the Recplex on Saturday night, featuring our own Bill Blank's son as the headliner. So if you want to come out on Saturday night, it's all over the Three Beards Media social footprint there. I think there's some tickets that Chris Shipley has ready to give away still, some general admission stuff. It's going to be a fun night of some pro-am wrestling there. And yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, go check it out on Saturday night, because it is a weak Saturday for college football. So this is a perfect Saturday night to go hang out and watch some local wrestling here in West Des Moines at the Recplex. So
absolutely. I love pro wrestling, as you know. I went to WrestleMania this last year, so I'd be amped up for that. And he used to live in West Des Moines like the last decade before I moved out here, so that'd have been perfect for me. But yeah, somebody swipe up those tickets, man. Those are fun shows to see those guys out there kind of risking it all, right? Like they're trying to make a name for themselves, and you know, do some incredible acrobatic work and stuff like that. So yeah, go out, support Three Beards Media, support those wrestlers. It's free. I mean, you can't beat that. So you live in the Des Moines area, hit up Chris Shipley, hit up Three Beards sites. Yeah, go do that.
Yeah. So yeah. Other than that, we're going to look forward to a good week from Iowa, and hopefully we're in a better mood next week when we come back. So that'll do it for us. And as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Let's go.